Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to add button band and buttons to your crochet cardigan. Here is a finished baby-sized cardigan that I made, and I would like to add these cute buttons to it. So we're going to start by adding a button band first, and then I will show you how to figure out exactly where to make your buttonholes and how many stitches apart they need to be. So let's get our yarn, and I am using 4-ply weight yarn for this one and 4mm crochet hook, same as what I did to make this little cardigan. So I'm going to attach it to the bottom corner, and there are a couple of ways of doing this. So you can either just attach it by slip stitching your yarn through this bottom corner and then making chain 1, and then you can start making your single crochet stitches into these double crochet stitches. But I like to attach mine with a standing single crochet, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So you first have to make a slip knot and put that on your hook, and then we're just going to make a single crochet into that corner space. So no chains or anything, it's just an actual proper single crochet stitch. And now you can keep working into these previous double crochet stitches, and we're just going to make one single crochet into each stitch in this final round of the cardigan which we made earlier. So let's just keep working this all the way around. I am now gone up at one side of the front of the cardigan, and I'm just about to turn the corner, and I have reached the stitches which were created when you join the two sides together, and they are lying a different way. So let's just make 2 single crochet stitches into this sideways double crochet, then 1 single crochet in between the join space, and then another 2 stitches into the next sideways double crochet. And now you are back to where your stitches look like proper top of stitches of your double crochet. So we just keep going along this opposite side as well. So what we're doing is we're creating both sides of the button band at the same time. You can do them separately. You can do one side first and then the other side, and then just do something different for your neckline. But I think this is quite a nice way to do it. You go into work the neckline at the same time as the sides for your button band. So when we get to the end, chain 1 and turn your work and go back just the same way you have just done the previous row, but this time you have these single crochet stitches to work into. So that will be quite a nice row. Just go in once, making 1 single crochet into each stitch until you get to the end of this row. And when you get to the end of the row, you'll just finish off, and again we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we're repeating this row one more time. So just make 1 single crochet into each single crochet stitch from the row below. Now that we have completed 3 rows, let's check what our work looks like, and let's check it with our buttons. So what we're making now is half of that button band, which is just about right when I'm measuring my buttons on top of it, because you want to make the holes now and the halfway point. So first let's check how many stitches we need for the button to go through. So when you line it next to your single crochet stitches, you can count them. and I can see I need about 3 stitches for the button to fit through a hole. Normally you'll have buttons which are round, so it's a little bit easier to get this measurement. Mine have got these little funny legs on the birds, but that's okay, they'll just slip through the spaces. And now let's figure out where we would like to place our buttons on the cardigan. So I'm making this one for a little boy, so buttons will be on the right hand side and the buttonholes on the left hand side. I think that's right. So if you're making it for the girl, you have to make your buttons, place your buttons on the other side and make your buttonholes on the opposite side. So after I figured out where I want my buttons to be, I'm going to place a stitch marker just above them. And now I'm going to count the stitches from the bottom of the band up to the stitch marker, so that I can figure out exactly where to make the buttonholes, how many stitches I will need, because it's very important to get your buttonhole spaced evenly. So up to my marker I have 22 stitches. I want to leave 2 stitches each side, so 2 at the bottom and 2 at the top, so we'll take away these 2 straight away, which leaves us with 18 stitches. And then we need 3 stitches for each buttons, and I have 3 buttons, so I need to take these off as well, which leaves me 9 stitches left. And if I divide that with 2, because I will have 2 spaces between the 3 buttons, I will end up with 4.5 stitches, which is obviously impossible to make. So we'll just adjust this number and we'll make 5 stitches in between each button. That means I need to add a stitch to my row here, so I'm just going to move my marker up by 1 stitch so that I know that I will have the correct number. So let's figure out what we need to actually do. So single crochet 2 at the bottom to get that little space before buttons start. Then we're going to chain 3 and skip 3, and that would be the first buttonhole. Then we're going to single crochet 5, that's the space between buttons, then another chain 3, skip 3 for the next buttonhole. Then we're going to single crochet 5 again because we're using this one twice, and after that we have another space for a buttonhole, so chain 3, skip 3, and we're left with chain 2. So let's just do this now all together. So let's get the hook back into where we left our loop, and we can start following this. I will show you first to make sure that as you turn your work you need to do chain 1 and then start making your repeat. So 2 single crochet stitches first, then chain 3 and skip 3 stitches, and after that we're doing a space between the buttonholes, so that space will have 5 single crochet stitches. Then we get to the point where we're doing another chain 3 to add another buttonhole, and then another 5 single crochet stitches before we get to the next space where the buttonhole needs to go. And this is the last one now, so because we had 3 buttons, so skip 3 and then we do the single crochet 2. And now if you fold these 2 sides together, the top of this where you finished should line up where your stitch marker is at the moment. So that means all the maths is working and you've done it correctly. Of course it depends on how big your buttons are. It depends how many spaces you need to leave for those buttonholes on the opposite side to where your buttons need to go. So just another thing to note here, if you were making this for a girl and you need your buttonholes to be on the opposite side, you start this row by just making single crochet stitches all the way up to where your stitch marker is, and then you're doing exactly the same what we did at the beginning of this row. So you just follow this instructions what you worked out, and you just make the buttonholes on the opposite side of your work. But because we don't need to do that, we can just remove that marker and finish making single crochet stitches all the way till the end of this row now. And when you get to the end of your row, you chain one again and turn your work, and we are making single crochet stitches into each stitch for all of this row. But when you get to the places where you added your chains for your buttons, I will show you how to work into these so that you end up with nice neat buttonholes. So here we are, we're nearly there. Just got a couple more stitches to go until we get to where our first buttonhole is. And it's very easy. All you have to do is make 3 single crochet stitches right in the center of that chain free space. There we go, 3 stitches there, and then you keep going, working in between the buttonholes, just your normal single crochet stitches. So that should be 5 now, and then you make another 3 single crochet stitches into that space, chain free space. There's no need to try to get into those chains, just work straight into the big gap of your chain free space. And we're nearly at the end, and the reason we left those couple of stitches just before your buttonhole starts is you can see now why we needed them, just to have a bit of an edge to the work before your buttons are placed. And then we have to make another couple of rows of single crochet stitches so that we can just match the opposite side. But we can just double check quickly now before we carry on, make sure that the buttons fit through, and mine fit through perfectly, so that's really good. And I'm just going to add couple of more rows of single crochet, and you can pause your video here and meet me when you have done that part. And once you got to the end of your last row and you have done enough to match both sides, you can now fasten off, and we will start attaching the buttons to the opposite side. I mean, there's no trick, you just literally just sew them to the correct places on your button band. The only thing I would say, well, a couple of things really. Before you start putting your yarn onto your needle, which you use to sew your buttons, make sure that your needle fits through the button, because I have done it so many times. I have fiddled the yarn through, and then I go to put it through the hole in the button and it does not fit through. So don't make the same mistake. Make sure your needle is the correct size. And the other thing is that I like to use the same yarn if possible. If you can possibly get it through the head of your needle, use the same color, the same type, because you can then sew all 3 buttons together at once, or well, it doesn't matter how many you have. I have 3, so you can use the same color and it won't show up in your button band as you're weaving it across from one end to the other. So I'm just attaching the end of my yarn to the bottom of the button band, just to make sure it's secure, just weaving it through in a couple of directions. And once I've done that, I can then get it to the place where my first button is going to be, and just sew the button in place. And to work out that your button's in the correct place, you can do your counts. You can count the 2 stitches up and then get it right in the middle of the 3 stitches what you left for your button band from on the opposite side, and then get your yarn to the correct place right in the middle of your button band, and then just attach your button there. When you have secured your first button, what you can do is turn your work around, and because you're using the same color yarn what you used to make your button band, you can just weave this at the back of your work, and you can get to the next place where you need to place your next button. So just carefully weave it in through the stitches. It just means that you don't have to keep attaching your yarn for every single button. You can just weave it across into the next place, and once you're in the correct place you can then attach your next button there. Once you have attached all your buttons, you just have to weave in your ends, and that is how easy it is to add a button band to your crochet cardigan. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this video and have found it useful.